Hello my friends, it's Didi here and today's video is Q&A. You already submitted your questions via Instagram and today it's the time to answer. I love these videos and the last time I did one was so many months ago and I thought it would be great to connect with you guys and answer anything that you're interested to know. A few of the questions I combined together because there were questions about the school that I created and how was that for me, the journey, and a few questions about Mika and his reading and how you can support your child at home. The rest are all random and I'm just gonna start on the top. Do you still bed share with Mika? Yes, we do. So Mika is 6 years and 4 months old now and we still co-sleep with him. The reason why we do that is that because we feel it's right. In no way I am now supporting that you guys should share and co-sleep with your child when they're that old. For those of you that have been following my journey from very early on, you'll know that I've been a fan of co-sleeping during the baby phase, infant phase and toddler phase. And I already did a video years ago, you can go and check it out. I did not change my mind about it. I still think that co-sleeping is beautiful when your child is little. I still think that it has lots of benefits for the child. However, this is only the case if you feel it's right for you. For those of you who prefer co-sleeping, who always wanted to share bed with your child and you felt in a way that other people put their opinions on you, calm down. You know, it's your choice and you have to do what feels right for you. In my particular case, when I was little, especially in the age that Mika is now, about 6, 7, 8, I was very much afraid at night. And I remember it was going to my parents' room was no zone. So I remember that I would put little chairs next to my sister's bed and I would just put my hand on her bed so that I can feel calm. I never want Mika to feel the way I felt as a child, and that's the reason why right from the beginning I said I want to co-sleep. And then actually it's not true, in the beginning we thought that he'll sleep in a different room, but then it didn't work out and I had to breastfeed every 2.5 hours. Then he moved to our room and he never went out. Now I understand he's 6 and it's time for him probably to move to his own room. I'm sure that there won't have any negative or positive impact on him. It's just we haven't discussed yet how we're going to do the transition. So go and watch my video for those of you with younger kids. In terms of the cons, when your child is little and sleeping with parents, usually the cons is that it can interfere with the couple's life. It can be difficult to transition the child to their own room later on. Some parents say that they really need their own sleep and they sleep train their kids. In our case, that wasn't the case. We've always enjoyed it a lot. Of course, you know, for me, it was a priority that Mika feels safe and I know that he's okay versus my sleep. And you know, I'll have the time to sleep, I guess, later. So yes, we still do. What's the farthest you've ever been from home? I love this question because it made me go and, you know, go back in the past and go through the countries I've been to. And originally I thought it was China, but then I remembered we went to Patagonia. So we went to Argentina, to Patagonia, and from there we drove to Chile, to Torre del Paine, which is like a national park there. And that was the farthest I've ever been from London. I consider London my home now, although it's my home only in the past 16 years, 15 years almost. But yeah, it's about, I think, almost 13,300 kilometers or something like 8,300 miles from London. I'm gonna find some photos, guys, and probably show you the photos. It was an epic trip. I always recommend to people to go to Patagonia, see the glacier, Perito Moreno in Argentina, see the park. It's one of the highlights of all my trips I've done in my life, and I've been to 47 countries now. Another benefit of having this question was to go through all the countries I've been to. So next question, what happened to your Montessori school? I have 3 questions about Montessori. What happened to my school? Is it hard to open a school? And can I share more about my journey with opening a school? My Montessori school is thriving. It's going really well. It's been 2.5 years now since we opened. I think we're gonna celebrate the 3rd year in May 2020, this year. And now it's full, we have a wait list, and I love the experience we provide to the children. I love the journey that I've been through. It wasn't easy, that's for sure, but it's something which I created with all my passion and love and the belief that we can basically impact and we can support children in that very important time in their life. So in terms of my journey, I opened the school because I was looking for a solution for Mika. So when Mika was 3, he went to the so-called best nursery in the area where we live. And you have to always be careful when somebody tells you and recommends you the best school or best nursery. You'd rather do your research. I didn't ask people what do they consider as best. For me, it's not the best nursery or school if they prepare them for the best primary school that prepares for the best secondary school that prepares for the best university, because that's not what my belief is about early years education. For me, the most important thing was that the Montessori principles are really followed, and these are the principles of freedom, respect the spirit of the child, and also that my child would grow up feeling free and that they can express how they feel and they can sort of learn their independence and safety through people who can guide them rather than tell them what to do. So I wasn't very happy because Mika started to act out. He was 3 when he started, and the first few weeks were okay. He wasn't very much settled though, and then he started apparently to bite sometimes or to be unsettled at school, and I did not particularly like the approach of the teachers there. So I was calling my friend who opened a nursery years before that in London, in different part of London, and every day I would ask her, is this normal? I would expect it a bit different. I would expect that there won't be punishments. And she just one day said, Didi, I had enough. Like, why don't you just open a nursery? We can team up together, we can find the space, and we can create something that you would feel that it's more based on your values. And we've always been talking about that, even years before that, when I didn't have a child. I thought that child's education, psychology, and child's development was really important part of my life. So we teamed up. I wouldn't have done it without her, that's for sure, because I wouldn't have known many of the compliance and legalization around opening a school. We teamed up, we opened it together in May 2017, and then we operated for, I think, half term only. And then in the summer, we decided that we will split. She couldn't travel all the way from the part where she lived, and her husband took a new job somewhere else. So I was literally left on my own without expecting it, one day before the term started. So from there, the journey was very tough until I learned everything I had to learn about managing a school, finding the right people. Finding the right people wasn't an area that I was afraid of, because that was the most important for me. The most important was that the people who work there and who interact with the children really believe in the philosophy, and they believe in growth mindset, and they know how to interact, they believe in their personal development. So this part I was comfortable with, but there are so many other things that I had to learn on the spot. So it was a wide journey, but you know, the reason why I started in the first place was that I saw sort of a gap and I believed in something else. The other one, was it easy to open a school? I think it's easier than we think it is. But of course, now looking back, it's easier to say that as well. When I was there in the midst of it, it was so much hard work, and what helped me was that Mika was there with me as well, but poor Mika, you know, he had to stay with me for staff meetings, to help me clean, to help me buy furniture, activities, stuff. So if you feel like you want to open your own school, I think it's less difficult than we think it is. It's a very highly regulated business, of course, and it should be that way because we deal with children. As you know, safety is priority, making sure that they're in a great environment is priority, knowing how you can support their physical development, emotional development, it's priority. So yeah, if you feel that you want to do it, do it. Does Mika read only in English? Yes, he reads only in English so far. He understands how to read Bulgarian, which is Cyrillic alphabet, and but he doesn't initiate reading Bulgarian books. I think it's going to be probably confusing for him. I don't really know. The main point is because I have few questions about Mika's reading, and the other was sent via DM. Can you please tell me how you can support the interests of my child? Like, it seems that Mika reads a lot. Mika is 6 years old. He reads a lot, that's for sure. He reads sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And what I want to say here, for so many of you who have been asking me via messages so often, what did you do? How did you make him read so many books? How did you inspire him? Honestly, unfortunately, the answer to this one is that I didn't do much, in the sense of I did not really spend any time teaching Mika how to read. Many friends around me or people who meet me, they say, oh, it's easy for you because you are a Montessori teacher as well. I'm sure you spent time sitting across Mika and helping him learn how to read. It's completely no. Honestly, my decision was that Mika will learn how to read like any other child whenever he is ready to learn how to read. What happens at schools, unfortunately, is that people decide, teachers decide, or the system decided that at a certain age, children need to learn how to read and write. And when I did research many months ago about unschooling, it turned out that children, if left by themselves on their own, they will learn how to read by the age of 8, 9. So there is no rush to teach children to learn as early as 4.5, 5 years of age. And when they go to school, especially in the UK, where they go to school when they're 4 years old and they're pushed to learn how to read and write, what happens for children is that they lose their interest and they become a little bit disempowered. They feel like, now I need to learn something that I don't feel like learning. So my decision was with Mika, what I can do is to provide very favorable environment for him to make sure that he has everything available if he wants to pick up his interest in learning and in reading. But I'm not gonna fuss about it at all. I will let him to learn at school, or if he doesn't do well at school, learning how to read, it's fine too. Now, Mika learned to read just because he got obsessed with Star Wars. For him was the interest, picking up on interest that has nothing to do with us as a family. He heard about Star Wars from a friend's brother at school. He went to the school library, they have a library there, he borrows books every Monday, and he came home with the book of Star Wars. And then my friends who were around, Scott, a friend of ours, he gave him 6 books about Star Wars, children's books. And Mika just sat down and literally, honestly, learned how to read because of Star Wars. Since then, what I can say in terms of favorable environment that I created for him, and you can do that, guys, it's we always had a good routine about reading. From very early on, we read books to him every night, 2, 3, 4 books, sometimes more if he wants more. And quite often I would use the phrase, and Mika, can you imagine one day when you learn to read, how you don't have to depend on us reading to you? Because sometimes when he asks us to read yet another story, I would say, Mika, that's far too much for us. But one day when you learn how to read, it's going to open a whole new world to you and you can do it on your own. So I guess this inspires him as well. And of course, so many books around. Don't stress out, please. Don't compare your child to anybody else. Mika's reading at 6 years of age or so many books, it doesn't mean that he'll succeed more in life or he'll be better off in life. If your child doesn't learn to read until they're 8, it's completely fine, in my own opinion. My friend was just here, her kids were in Montessori school in the Netherlands. I remember when she was worried that they didn't teach them how to read by the age of 9. Her child now is 12, he's one of the best schools, secondary school, with no problem. These are too many worries and anxieties that we impose on ourselves just because we compare. And again, what you can do is create favorable environment with lots of books, all sorts of books. You can tell them how many more new things they can learn from books. And the first thing, which I also think it helped a lot in my case, is that we have 0 screen time. Now, if you put your child in front of the TV or iPad and give them games to play or films to watch, of course they would prefer probably this. But if he has to find something to do and to sort of that because he's so curious and learning things, of course he'll choose the books. So I suggest if you want to sort of test it and implement more reading time, just cut on the screen time as well. Where do you invest your money? Mainly stocks, real estate, etc. Although I have finance background, I'm not great at investing yet. I think all my relationships with money is probably a subject of another video. I feel that if you do the right thing and if you put your heart in the things you do, money will come. And I've never taken the time to sit down and strategize and plan how my future would look like and how much money I need to invest. I'm not suggesting you do that too. I think it's actually much, much healthier and clever if you sit down and have investment strategy. In my case, I own 2 flats. One is in Bulgaria, which I bought before I moved, and then the another one is here in London. I never bought it for investment purposes. We thought that we would live there, but it just didn't happen. But that's not because I wanted to invest money and have something. I'm sure I could have had so much more and be so much richer if I had investment strategy, but I don't yet. And real estate is something that I probably will consider. And also last year I invested in a startup company that a friend of mine created. I really believe in the product, so that's for the first time when I invested money in another company. What are your thoughts about homeschooling? Did you ever consider homeschooling, Mika? I did, and then I didn't, and then now I do sometimes as well. The thing with homeschooling, my opinion on homeschooling is positive. Many years ago, when I heard of homeschooling, I thought that only crazy people can homeschool their kids because, come on, they need to be out there with other children and socializing is the most important thing. But that was when I was looking into homeschooling from a perspective of someone who grew up in a place where school was institution and you can never imagine life outside of school. Homeschooling, now I changed my mind. I did a lot of research last year about homeschooling, and I think it's a great thing to do. However, you need to consider it whether it's right for you as a family. And if you have many children, not only one, again, each child may react differently to the homeschooling environment. There are many options, whether it's homeschooling or unschooling or radical unschooling. There are different ways of doing homeschooling. I am positive about it from the point of view that I really trust and believe that kids love learning. Innately, they come with this human tendency of exploration and love for learning. And what happens at school often is that they start hating learning. And education is just a little part of what life learning will be for them later in life. So I feel that homeschooling has to be based on the premises that you trust and believe and respect the pace your child goes with, and you trust that they can learn what they're meant to be learning. That's the reason why so many people don't homeschool. Specifically in the UK, the statistics were that people would homeschool their children often when the children have some problems at school, like bullying or emotional issues, or when they have some learning disadvantages and disabilities, as they like to label those. The reason why I'm thinking now of homeschooling sometimes is because I can see how the educational system does not yet prepare the children for the future that is out there. However, I feel that I'm not the right person to homeschool Mika. It's just, I cannot do it. So I'm thinking more about what alternative educations I can provide, how a perfect school would look like in my eyes, what that would include as a curriculum, and how can I add these elements to Mika's life, or maybe find a school that can support him in what I see as the best preparation for his future. So next one, how do you decide on having just one child? This is really a tough question, and honestly, I've changed my mind so many times throughout the years. So if you're in the same boat and if you feel that you don't have a clarity, I am pretty sure it's normal for most people. I always admired people who are so clear on what they want and how they want it and how does it look like. It's not my reality at all, and that's okay. I've decided to have one child. So I was sure I wanted children, that's for sure. And actually when I was younger, I thought that I wanted at least 2 or 3 children. Then when my career started rolling, I so much enjoyed creating and doing things, and I postponed the time of having a child. So when I had Mika, I was 35. Then when Mika was growing up and he was 2 or 3 years old, I said, maybe if I want a child, now it's the time. But I just couldn't bear myself doing it, because that was exactly the time when I finally stopped breastfeeding, when I finally went back to life, when I finally started sort of owning my body again. Only mothers know what I mean by that, but finally you're sort of not one person, you are you, and then you have your child. And the idea of going again from the same cycle seemed crazy to me. A lot of people told me around me, if you want 2 kids, just do it immediately, because then probably you'll give up, and that's exactly how it happened. When Mika was 3, I said, I don't see how this is possible. For a while I thought that maybe if I want a child, it needs to be now, but then I just didn't feel that I can bring another human to life. Now that Mika is 6, is very different, because one of the reasons why I would want a child as well was that Mika would have someone who is very close to his age. Even if I have a child now, their difference would be 7 years. 7 years is already a big gap between 2 children. I don't think that they can be friends or play together. And also for me, it's really important, what are the reasons why would I want a child? And I suggest that everybody goes through that before they decide having a child, because it seems that so many people out there just have children because everybody told them around them that that's the normal thing to do. And becoming a conscious parent and growing spiritually through the role of the parent requires you to be aware of your choice, whether you want to bring life to this, to this universe, to this life or not. And quite often people choose to have children because they hurting inside, because they need some sort of attention, or they need something in their life that they can focus on, or because they have wounds they need to cover, and this is not a good reason for me personally to have a child. So it's really important to figure out, if you want a child, why do I want a second child? So often when I think about a second child, I sort of see my life from the age of 80. So if I'm 70, 80 years old and I look back, would I feel sorry that I didn't have a second child? And my answer often is that probably I'll feel that I should have had another one. However, I'm now mindful of the fact that I'm 41 years old, that 7 years difference with Mika, it's probably not great, and that a child, a baby, would require so much more effort and so much more giving. For me, having a child and bringing a child the way I want to bring my child, the way I brought Mika, means giving everything. And a lot of parents do that, many parents do that. Many parents they cannot afford to do that because they're either very busy or they have multiple children. But in my case, when I bring a new child, I know that I have to go full on for the next many years, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that. So the decision is that I'm okay with one child, and it's such a gift. And if I change my mind, I don't have that much time to change my mind, but I can always change my mind. Do we speak Bulgarian or English at home? We speak Bulgarian because, of course, we are all Bulgarians, and of course my mom comes often, my dad is here, my sister lives around. I am the one who switches to English, and I catch myself doing that because I'm doing Instagram stories, or sometimes I'm vlogging, or sometimes when I pick up Mika from school, he immediately addresses me in English, and I don't realize that at that spot. But I'm given a really hard time on this one. We have lots of arguments at home. If I answer in English when we are walking on the street, usually, Mitku says no, he needs to answer in Bulgarian, let him speak Bulgarian. So yeah, predominantly Bulgarian at home. And next one is, if you can please give certain examples of books for appropriate ages, if you can. Hope it's not too much to ask. I can give you guys examples of what Mika was reading. We've been surrounded always with lots of books. We go to the library often, we take 10 books, then next week we return them. We are exposed to lots of books, and it's important when you create this environment at home to include huge variety of books. And that could be encyclopedia, books for little kids, book for older kids, books in different languages, books with hardcore pages or soft pages. I can tell you which books Mika really enjoyed when he was about 4 or 5. Up until that age, he was exposed to a lot of books with rhyming as well, because that's important as well for kids and developing of the speech for children. Everything that's from Julia Donaldson, the stories for Gruffalo, all these stories that are in rhymes, he loved a lot. But then when he was 3, 4, we liked all the books that have been adapted from Wayne Dyer, No Excuses. There are a few more, Incredible You, It's Not What You've Got, Unstoppable Me. So these are one of the favorites books that I give as presents to other children as well. And he particularly enjoyed the books of this guy, Richard Scarry. And he has about 10 or 12 books, different books, I'll show you guys. And he liked them a lot. I also like them because there is a lot of text and a lot of image. These books have been written 50 years ago. They're back from the 1950, 1960. And he spent a lot of time studying them, even before he was able to read, because there's so many visuals, he was able to go through the visuals. So I really recommend these books. They worked fine for us. In terms of suggestions based on age, I will link below. I'm sure that my friend Alexandra from the Big Life Journal, I'm sure that they did a big research and they have the books by age. So I'm just gonna find this and link it below. So make sure you look into the comment box. And also Maria Popova from Brain Picking, I think, she did also the 10 best children books a few years ago. So I'm gonna find this one and link it as well. So that's it from me, my friends. I hope that I was able to answer your questions in the details you wanted me to. And if you want to know more, if you have any other questions, please make sure you leave a comment below. You ask me either here on Instagram or both platforms. That's why they're there. I always love interacting with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for taking the time to like it and commenting on it. And if you think it's useful, share it with your friends. Thank you, my friends. See you next week.